Hello, my beautiful damsels. Annoy a strong woman and she'll let it slide. Annoy a Sigma female and you'll wish you hadn't. There's a certain art to knowing what buttons not to push. Sigma females are those rare individuals who thrive in their own space, fiercely independent and unapologetically real. But don't mistake their calm demeanor for infinite patience. Beneath that cool exterior is someone who's well aware of every inconsiderate habit that crosses her path, and no, she doesn't find it charming. Research shows that the majority of people are entirely oblivious to the little habits that irritate those around them. But a Sigma female? She's the exception. She notices everything, and she's not in the business of ignoring what grates on her. If you think you can get away with treating her like just anyone else, think again. Her tolerance for nonsense is as thin as a thread, and when it snaps, you'll know it. So, what does it take to truly test the patience of a Sigma? Stick around, because this isn't your average list of pet peeves. It's a glimpse into the mind of a woman who doesn't just demand respect, she expects it effortlessly. Number 1. Forgetting her name. Seriously, how hard is it? Forgetting a Sigma female's name isn't just a slip-up. It's like walking into a room and tripping over the first step. She's not expecting a grand parade whenever she's introduced, but getting her name wrong, or worse, not remembering it at all, that's a fast track to the bottom of her list. To her, names matter. They signify a basic level of respect and acknowledgement. If you can't even remember the name of the person standing in front of you, what else are you missing? It's not just about the awkward moment when you stumble through her name. It's about what that moment represents. A name is personal. It's one of the first things we share when meeting someone new, a small piece of who we are. So when you mess it up, it feels like you're not paying attention, like you're seeing her as just another face in the crowd. And Sigma females? They aren't built to blend into the background. She's the type to remember details. Your quirks, that one time you talked about your obscure hobby, and even your favorite coffee order. She expects the same energy in return, and if it's not there, she'll notice. Sure, everyone forgets a name now and then, but when it comes from someone who should know better, it's almost offensive. It's not about needing validation. It's about respect. A Sigma female isn't going to make a scene over it. You won't get a dramatic eye roll or a drawn-out sigh. Instead, you'll get a polite smile, and she'll make a mental note to keep her distance. It's the small things that speak volumes, and when you can't remember her name, you're telling her that she's not worth remembering, and she'll treat you exactly the same way. Number 2, constant interruptions. Get in line, buddy. Interrupting a Sigma female is a guaranteed way to get on her bad side. She's not one to demand the spotlight, but when she speaks, it's because she has something worth saying. So, when someone constantly cuts her off mid-sentence, it doesn't just irritate her, it signals a lack of respect. It tells her that you think your thoughts are more important than hers, and that's a red flag she won't ignore. She values meaningful conversations, the kind where people actually listen instead of just waiting for their turn to talk. So, if you keep jumping in with your opinions before she's finished hers, she'll quickly lose interest. To her, it's not just bad manners, it's a sign that you're more interested in hearing yourself talk than actually connecting with her. Sigma females aren't the type to engage in a verbal tug-of-war. They'll just walk away and find someone who respects the flow of a good conversation. And it's not about her wanting endless airtime either. She's a great listener, one of the best, in fact. But she expects that same courtesy in return. If you can't give her the space to share her thoughts without butting in, she'll see it as a sign of immaturity. And she doesn't have time for people who treat conversations like a contest to be won. The thing is, she won't explode or make a scene when you interrupt. She'll just mentally check out, and you'll lose your chance to truly know her. Her patience might run deep, but it's not infinite. She doesn't need to battle for a moment to be heard. She can simply choose to engage with people who don't require her to fight for it. Respect her voice, and you'll find she has plenty of intriguing things to say. Disregard it, and you'll never hear from her again. Number 3, complaining about trivial things. It's giving petty energy. Complaining about every little thing is the quickest way to make a Sigma female lose interest. She has a low tolerance for people who get bent out of shape over minor inconveniences. To her, it's like watching someone throw a tantrum over a paper cut, completely unnecessary and a waste of energy. She's faced real challenges, made tough decisions, and has little patience for anyone who acts like a bad Wi-Fi connection is a catastrophe. When someone constantly whines about the smallest issues, it tells her that they lack perspective, and perspective is everything to her. Sigma females focus on the bigger picture so they don't sweat the small stuff. A person who constantly complains about long lines or the barista messing up their order comes across as someone who doesn't know how to deal with the unexpected. And if they can't handle a mix-up at the coffee shop, she wonders what they'll do when life throws real problems their way. She's not asking people to fake positivity or ignore real issues, but she does expect a sense of balance. If someone can't go 5 minutes without griping about how the weather ruined their hair or how slow the driver in front of them is, she sees them as someone who's letting life's little hiccups control their mood. For her, it's a major turnoff, and sure, she might nod politely while you go on about your frustrating day, but inside, she's already planning her exit strategy. It's not that she's unsympathetic, she just finds chronic complaining exhausting. She has too much respect for her own time and energy to spend it on people who get riled up over things they can't control. Life is too short to focus on the negatives, and she's only interested in those who know how to keep it moving. Number 4, empty promises. Words mean nothing without action. Not following through is a surefire way to lose the respect of a Sigma female. To her, words without actions are just noise. She's not impressed by grand promises or declarations. She's looking for consistency. If someone says they'll do something, she expects them to do it. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing that your word means something. When actions don't match up with what was promised, she sees it as a sign of unreliability, and that's a deal breaker for her. Sigma females value integrity, and part of that is doing what you say you will. If you keep flaking out or backing out of plans at the last minute, she'll start to see you as someone she can't count on. And for her, reliability is a core part of any relationship, whether it's personal or professional. She doesn't have time for excuses or half-baked efforts. She's looking for people who can deliver on their commitments without needing constant reminders. It's not just about keeping appointments or meeting deadlines either. It's about following through on the little things too. Did you offer to help with a project or promise to be there during a tough time? She's taking notes, not because she's demanding, but because she's looking for signs that you respect her time and trust enough to be consistent. And when you drop the ball, even on the small stuff, she'll remember. She's not going to lecture you about it or chase you down for explanations. She'll just quietly adjust her expectations and start distancing herself. It's simple. If she can't trust you to follow through, she won't waste her time pretending otherwise. A Sigma female values actions over empty words, and if your actions fall short, she'll move on without a second thought. Number 5, glued to your phone. Put it down, we're right here. Being glued to your phone around a Sigma female is a quick way to lose her respect. She understands that everyone's got messages to check and calls to take. But if you're constantly scrolling through social media while she's sitting right in front of you, it's a problem. To her, it's like saying, "This random post is more interesting than you are." And for someone who values meaningful connections, that's a message she's not willing to ignore. It's not about demanding undivided attention or being the center of someone's world. It's about being present in the moment. When someone is more focused on their screen than the conversation, it shows a lack of interest in being there. And if you're not interested in engaging, a Sigma female won't force you. She'll just see it as a sign that her time is better spent elsewhere. After all, she's got plenty of things to do that don't involve competing with a screen for attention. It's even worse when you try to have a deep or important conversation with her, only to glance down at your phone every other minute. It tells her that whatever you're looking at, whether it's memes or group chats, is somehow more compelling than the person right in front of you. She's all about authenticity, and there's nothing genuine about a conversation where one person is barely half present. She's not going to beg for your attention or drop hints. She'll simply make a mental note, and that's when you'll notice her becoming a little more distant, a little less available. It's not a dramatic exit. It's just her way of prioritizing those who truly value her presence. If you're more interested in your phone than in spending time with her, she'll find people who actually appreciate what she has to offer. Number 6. Talking too loudly in private spaces. No, you're not the main character. Speaking loudly in private settings is a surefire way to irritate a Sigma female. She thrives in environments where there's a sense of respect for personal space and the shared atmosphere, and loud voices disrupt that. When someone can't keep their volume in check, especially in places like cafes, libraries, or any intimate setting, it grates on her nerves. To her, it's not just about the noise. It's a sign of a lack of awareness, like someone barging into a peaceful room with a megaphone. For a Sigma female, conversations are about genuine exchanges, not broadcasting every thought for the whole room to hear. She finds it baffling when someone seems to think their story is so captivating that it should be shared with everyone within a 10-foot radius. It comes across as inconsiderate, almost as if the person believes their presence should be impossible to ignore. That kind of attention-seeking behavior is a major turn-off for her, as she values subtlety and the ability to read the room. She's someone who appreciates the art of listening and enjoys conversations that flow naturally without the need for shouting over each other. When someone is consistently loud, it feels like they're trying to dominate the space, and she's not interested in competing for volume. Instead, she'll start withdrawing, distancing herself from the noise, both literally and figuratively. What makes it even worse is that, in her eyes, raising your voice without reason suggests a lack of control. And for a Sigma female, self-control is everything. She respects people who can express themselves without feeling the need to make a scene. If you can't respect the atmosphere of a quiet space, she'll see it as a sign that you're not tuned into the same frequency as her. And she won't hesitate to find an environment that aligns better with her preference for calm, thoughtful interactions. Number 7. Jumping the line. Blind or what? Jumping the line is one of those social faux pas that really gets under a Sigma female's skin. Picture this. She's patiently waiting her turn, fully prepared to respect the unspoken rules of order, when someone brazenly cuts in front of her as if they've just won some sort of entitlement lottery. To her, it's not just rude, it's an outright insult to the people who have been waiting their turn. She values fairness and respect, and watching someone disregard that principle feels like a slap in the face. For a Sigma female, it's about more than just the act of cutting in line. It's about the blatant disregard for others' time and effort. When someone jumps ahead, it signals that they believe their needs are more important than everyone else's, and that self-centered attitude is a major turnoff. She believes that everyone deserves their moment, and if you can't acknowledge the patience of those around you, it reveals a serious lack of empathy. This behavior shows she can't trust you to play fair in other areas of life either. When she sees someone skip the line, she might not confront them directly. Instead, she'll watch with a mix of disbelief and disappointment, her mind racing through all the reasons why this behavior is unacceptable. She may even decide to voice her frustration under her breath, making a comment about how some people clearly think they're above the rules. It's her way of asserting her values without engaging in unnecessary conflict. Ultimately, jumping the line is a reflection of character. And if you can't demonstrate a basic level of respect for others, she's going to distance herself from you. Sigma females prize authenticity and integrity, and anyone who thinks they can bypass those values by asserting themselves over others is someone she simply won't tolerate. If you're willing to cut in front of her, she'll have no problem cutting you out of her life. Number 8. Walking slowly in front of her. Pick up the pace, it's not a Sunday stroll. Walking slowly in front of a Sigma female is an express ticket to her annoyance. She has places to be and things to do, and seeing someone dawdle while she's on the move can feel like a personal affront to her time. It's not just about speed. It's about the lack of urgency and respect for the rhythm of life. When she's out and about, she expects others to be aware of their surroundings, especially when they're clogging the path like a human speed bump. Imagine her on a busy street, determined to get where she's going. Suddenly, someone in front of her is strolling along as if they have all the time in the world, completely oblivious to the world around them. It's as if they've entered a parallel universe where time doesn't exist, while she's stuck in a reality that values efficiency and purpose. The moment she spots someone meandering along, she's hit with a wave of frustration. She might try to sidestep or even give an impatient huff, but deep down, it's not just about their pace, it's about their attitude toward life. For her, walking slowly is synonymous with a lack of ambition. She sees it as a metaphor for someone who isn't driven or aware of their goals. If you can't even keep pace on the sidewalk, how can you keep up with life's challenges? She values decisiveness and focus, and someone ambling along like they're enjoying a leisurely stroll in a park makes her question their priorities. While she appreciates the beauty of taking it slow sometimes, she believes that there's a time and place for it. And when she's on a mission, that place isn't in her path. If you can't pick up the pace, she'll simply maneuver around you and move on, leaving you to your leisurely pace while she strides confidently toward her next adventure. Number 9. Refusing to take responsibility. That blame game is old news. Being overly dramatic in conversations is like a red flag waving in front of a Sigma female. She thrives on authenticity and meaningful exchanges, so when someone bursts into a scene with exaggerated emotions or wild stories, it's an immediate turnoff. She doesn't have time for theatrics. She prefers substance over style, and over-the-top displays feel like a desperate attempt to grab attention. When you're trying to narrate your latest mishap with the flair of a Broadway performance, she can't help but roll her eyes. It's not that she doesn't appreciate passion, it's just that she values honesty more. For her, a little drama can be entertaining in the right context, but when it becomes a regular occurrence, it's exhausting. She's likely to find herself questioning the motives behind such antics. Is this person truly sharing their experiences, or are they simply fishing for sympathy? If you're constantly seeking the spotlight, she'll assume you're more interested in your own narrative than in connecting with those around you. In her eyes, it reveals a lack of depth, and that's something she simply won't tolerate. She also has a keen ability to see through pretenses. If someone exaggerates their problems for the sake of drama, she'll be the first to call it out, often with a sharp, witty remark that cuts through the nonsense. She believes that vulnerability and honesty are the real foundations of connection, and anyone who resorts to theatrics is only putting up a facade. In a world that can often feel chaotic and fake, she seeks out genuine interactions, and she expects the same from those around her. If you want to keep her interest, leave the drama for the stage. Sigma females appreciate real conversations that foster connection and understanding, not soap opera-like monologues. If you can't offer that, she'll politely disengage and redirect her energy toward people who know how to keep it real. Number 10. Invading her personal space. You're in her bubble, step back. Pushing personal boundaries is a quick way to irritate a Sigma female, and for good reason. She's carved out a space for herself that thrives on autonomy, and when someone barges in, it feels like a direct violation of her well-established comfort zone. To a Sigma female, personal space isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and even spiritual. It's the sanctuary where she recharges, reflects, and processes the world around her. When that bubble is breached, it's like someone turned the lights on in a dark room. She suddenly feels exposed and vulnerable. Imagine someone who, after only a couple of interactions, starts asking deeply personal questions, or worse, tries to give unsolicited advice about her life choices. She'll likely feel a rush of irritation mixed with disbelief. Does this person really think they know her well enough to wade into her inner world? For her, trust isn't given lightly, and the minute someone crosses that line, it's a glaring sign that they don't understand her or her values. It feels as if they're trying to rewrite the script of her life without so much as a nod of consent. This disregard for her boundaries reveals a lack of respect for her individuality, and that's a surefire way to earn her disdain. She'll likely retreat, either physically or emotionally, pulling back to protect her space. In her mind, the world is already filled with noise and chaos. The last thing she needs is someone else trampling through her carefully maintained boundaries. If you want to earn her respect and attention, take the time to understand and appreciate her limits, respect her space, and she'll respond with openness and depth. Cross that line, and you'll find yourself quickly dismissed, a ghost of a connection that could have been something truly special. In a world filled with noise and distractions, Sigma females stand out as bastions of authenticity, seeking connections that resonate on a deeper level. They value respect, awareness, and honesty, rejecting the superficiality that so often permeates social interactions. The habits that irritate them, like interrupting conversations, complaining about trivial matters, or jumping the line, are not just minor annoyances. They are signs of a deeper disregard for the principles that define meaningful relationships. When you engage with a Sigma female, you're entering a space that craves genuine interaction and thoughtful engagement. They aren't interested in drama or superficial pleasantries. They thrive on substance, purpose, and authenticity. So, if you find yourself in a conversation with a Sigma female, remember that it's about more than just words. It's about the energy you bring and the respect you show. If you're willing to embrace honesty and acknowledge the value of others' time and presence, you'll find that Sigma females can be some of the most enriching people to have in your life. They don't just tolerate you, they challenge you to be better, to dig deeper, and to live more authentically. So let go of the theatrics, drop the pretenses, and engage with them on their level. In doing so, you might discover not only a fascinating individual, but also a new understanding of what it means to connect in a world that often values flash over depth. Ultimately, the journey with a Sigma female is about mutual respect, shared experiences, and the transformative power of genuine relationships. And trust me, if you can navigate those waters well, you'll find yourself in the company of someone truly extraordinary. If you've enjoyed exploring the captivating world of Sigma females, join our community by hitting that subscribe button. Dive into more intriguing insights about life, relationships, and everything in between. You won't want to miss what's coming next. So go ahead, subscribe, and let's keep this adventure going together. Thanks, damsels, for tuning in. See you in the next vid. Bye and stay blessed.